Well, it's time to start, and thank you for coming to my talk today. Well, today's topic is how humanities measure entered the world of open source. And to speak specifically, we are going to talk about the science of languages, shared syntax in natural and programming languages. So I would like to introduce myself simply at the first. Well, my name is Liu Shengnan. I came from China. I was born and raised in China. And I went to Jilin University, which is a famous university in China. And my major was Japanese. That's how I learned Japanese. And so I can speak Chinese, Japanese, and as you can tell, a little bit English. And after I graduated from the Jilin University, I just completed my master's degree in Tokyo University, which is located in Japan, Sendai. And that time, my major was language science. But pay attention that we talk about the language science over here has nothing to do with the programming language. It is just natural language. So it's like I studied Japanese, I studied language sciences, and that's all. So after I entered the current company, which is called Foreign Technology Corporation in Japan, in Shimane, I have no idea what the IT is. I can use the computer, I can edit some Word files, I can make slides, PowerPoint like this, but I have no idea what the code is. So I still remember when I first joined, first time, we have to write some blogs for the company every week in turn. And first time, my manager told me, could you please write the blog in Markdown so I could edit it later? And my reaction was like, oh my God, what are you talking about? What do you mean by writing an article in Markdown? And my manager told me, well, Markdown, we talk about in Japanese like markdown. It's the same thing, in English it's markdown, right? Well, my reaction was like, oh, the language is never the problem. I just don't understand the word. What do you mean by talking about markdown? Because the only thing I know about markdown is the price down when I learned from my part-time job in supermarket. So that was my level at that time. I know, just like an unpacked laptop, fresh, shiny, and have no menu. That was my level. And so I had taken a short course at a programming school the year after I entered the company and learned some just very basic knowledge. Well, I began to understand what actually our engineers are doing every day, what kind of project they worked on. But that does not mean I can write any code. I still cannot write code for the right mind, which is one of our company's biggest achievement. Well, even submitting something like a patch to the official site felt out of reach. It's just a totally different word, and I just couldn't understand what they're doing. So when you hear today's topic, you can contribute to open source without writing code. Well, you may feel, is that even possible? So that's exactly what I want to talk about. And well, the first time I truly, by the way, do you guys know what RedMine is? Well, to speak simply, it's a project management tool, software, totally open source. And the first time I truly felt that RedMine had become part of my life was earlier this year, about February. When I have to renew my residency status. So has anyone ever renewed a visa? It's a paperwork hell. The most frustrating part is that to get one document, you have to get another document to prove that you're eligible for the first one. It's like a never-ending loop. So one test triggered another one. So, for example, if I want to get my tax certificate, I have to renew my number card. It is something special in Japan. You need that. And before I get my number card renewed, I have to validate my ID, my driver's license, which has already been expired for some times. So it is just a mess. And then suddenly it came to my mind, an image. The red mine's Gantt chart. It is a very famous feature in red mine. And I didn't make it. It just appeared in my brain suddenly. And it was very, very scary. I'm not that kind of person who likes to plan. I hate deadlines. And of course, I don't use the calendar. I don't use these kind of things in my personal life. But it just appeared in my brain. And, well, that's when I realized red mine had actually completely infiltrated how I think. And of course scary, but also useful, absolutely. So I had originally encountered red mine through my work. That's part of my job. But over time, it wasn't just a working tool. It is structured, issue-based way of thinking began shaping my personal life. It helped me break down big problems and plan better and handle a lot of things, handle challenges more calmly. And that's what I want to say today. The desire to contribute to open source starts with not your skills, but your connection to the project. And if something really helps you and you feel like sparks your curiosity and you also want to do something to make it better, that's where contribution begins. So, well, when I was writing an article in English about the red mine's configuration, I came across a section in the UI and my account that felt a little bit awkward. So this is actually, we have the mail notification settings, so you can choose what kind of mail do you want to get. Do we have native English speakers here? You guys are native? Oh my God, it's okay. It's okay. I'm also not a native speaker too. And it doesn't work. Oh, battery is back. Okay. So, the level, well, only for things I watch or am involved in. Well, actually, the whole screen looks a little bit weird because, well, you can get this mixed by I am, and shift. Oh my God, this is hard to use. And shifting tenses and using vague terms like owner, the word owner. I explain it later. So, actually, it wasn't broken. I mean, you understand what I'm trying to say, but I mean, it's a little bit awkward. So, as someone who is familiar with red mine, I just understood what they are talking about. So it doesn't bother me anyway. But I just began to considering that, what about beginners with this screen? Do they understand what they're talking about? So I decided to do some improvement, but I'm not a native speaker. I mean, I had doubts. Am I qualified for this? Can I do this? So there is where my academic background helped. I majored, I told you guys, I majored in language sciences. So when we talk about language sciences, what are we talking about? I mean, you can learn language in the college. You can learn literature. But language sciences is a little bit weird. I mean, language is something humanity major. It's more than like art. But science is just science. Why you put them together? So, well, the language science is actually to treat language as a data you can analyzes the languages in a more scientific ways. So, for example, we have, it's hard to see. We study areas such like syntax, pragmatics. So language is treated as a data. And with rules and structures, molded and analyzing using status experiments and corpus studies. And also, it has connections with cognitive science and neurosciences. And for example, we'll solve the problems. Why you understand me? So I'm talking in English, and all of you guys here can understand me. How does it work? And the third point is that links with natural language processing and information science. It is something worked on AI. You know, you talk to ChatGPT, and they just understood what do you mean. So it is different, like the field called language. Is the language science is a different, or you can say a new field to approach the science, approach the language, the linguistic. And this is what I studied when I was in the Tohoku University. And after joining the IT industry and gaining new perspectives, I found myself revisiting these earlier studies in a new light. Well, here's what I would like to propose. If we, considering our brain, our human brain as a computer, and then natural languages and programming languages are actually the same thing, or you can say surprisingly similar. Well, I would like to, it's a little bit, difficult to understand. This is the syntax. I just said I learned syntax at the college, and sounds familiar, because we also talk about syntax in programming language. And in natural language, we just do this kind of things. It is called syntax tree diagram. 日本語で言うと樹形図って言います。Well, this is, of course, is very difficult to understand. But to speak more simply, the left-hand sentence, more than like a triangle. That means the sentence looks like stable. But it is not a good thing. The further down is, the heavier it is. So the things I rewrote, only for things I'm watching or involved in. This is in a good balance. No heavy place, no light place. It's in good balance. But I still have to admit that the original one, only for things I watch or involved in, this is not incorrect. It is correct. It is a good sentence. I mean, we could do it better. And I'll explain why. Do you know Ruby? You know Ruby? Oh, okay. It's okay. Thank you. Well, it is a very, very simple code, so that I guess everyone can understand. First point is that the structural symmetry. I am watching or involved in, or I watch or I'm involved in. I watch is I am a subject, and watch is a verb. And I am involved in use a be verb. So it is just like the code writing in this way. We have method call, we have function call, but why they show up together is a little bit difficult to understand. And the second point is clarity of meaning. Well, I guess this part may be a little bit to understand, but I watch. If you trying to use I watch to make a sentence, we usually do is like I watch news every day, I watch television every day, or I watch football match very often. It is something more than like a habit. It's something you do very often. But without a subject, I watch, you're gonna feel like, what do you watch? How often do you watch? Why you watch? So it is vague. And just like the code, if user okay, what is okay? What do you want to check? You just don't understand the things that you want to check. So that makes the sentence, of course, difficult to understand. But instead of saying, I am watching, in red mind, the things you're watching only can be projects or issues. So that is easy to be understood. And the third one is the structural stability. Well, it is very easy to understand. That means you could write something in a simple way, but you choose to write in a complex way. So of course, the simple way is better to maintain, better to be understood. So of course, we have other languages in right mind, and I am a native Chinese speaker. Oh, we have Chinese native speakers here, right? Yeah. Okay. Then you must understand what I'm going to talk about. This label is translated into Chinese like this: 只提醒我监看中或拥有者为我的事物. What do you feel about this sentence? Why you say it like this, right? You know what I'm talking about. So the problem is that, let's have a look at the English version. Only notify me for items of things. I'm sorry. I'm watching out. I am the owner of. So you notice the problem is that it is direct literal translation just from the English version. Well, it is not good, of course. The English version is also, it's bad. So if you just translate directly into Chinese, of course it may feel very weird. So we should rewrite it as 只提醒我监看中或我拥有的事物. The weird part of this sentence is that 我监看中, this is a subject and a verb structure. Well, it's a simple one, but 拥有者为我, that makes me, I, turn into a predicate. So it is exactly the same thing I just talked about this part. It is a structural symmetry. And we have already know where the problem is, and I would like to show up you guys the Japanese translation about this section. ウォッチ中または自分が作成したもの. Well, this is better. I mean, ウォッチ中自分が作成したもの. I just explained the Chinese one. It is like a subject and a verb. The structure is good. It's simple to be understood. And here is another problem. 自分が作成したもの. That means things I created, not using the word own or the owner. They choose the word create. So here comes another problem. How do you define the word owner? I own an issue. That means I created the issue, so I own it. I am the assignee, so I own the issue. Or I just update it. Do I own it or not? So the definition for the word owner is unclear. This is another big problem. So the best way, I guess, for this sentence is only for things I'm watching or I created. That is a better way. Of course, the Chinese one can be also rewrite in more clear way. And I would like to begin with a broader perspective, the deep connection between natural language and programming language. Well, we often think of entering the tech work as learning the language of the computer. But in recent years, something remarkable has happened. That means machines are learning the way to understand how we speak, how we think. So with tools like ChatGPT or Gemini, describing intent in plain language can now result in a working code. So you ask the ChatGPT, just create a login screen, and then just it works. They're gonna show you the HTML or PHP, and the code's just going to be worked. So this is I guess a powerful shift because it lowers the barrier between what we want to do and what we can do. It also means that software development is no longer purely the domain of code. So natural language is becoming interface. And when people talk about no-code tools or low-code tools, they often mean that platforms that let you build apps without writing a single line of code. But I would like to say, well, no-code is not just a tool, it's a way of thinking. It's about moving from syntax to intent. Well, instead of writing this code, you just say, please show this to admins, and the system just take care of all the details. So this is where language becomes power. You don't need to translate your idea into code. You just express what you want to say. What do you mean? And however, we talked about Redmine today. Redmine is not a low-code or no-code platform. It is just open source project management software with deep technical rules. But here is the interesting part. When Redmine is delivered as a SaaS, when it like cloud service, well, especially with the right plugins and integrations, it began to behave in a low-code way. Well, because you don't install it. You don't have to install it. You don't have to configure it from scratch. And you don't even write the Ruby. So why does it matter? Because Redmine is full of natural language elements. Well, every issue has a plain text and title and description. And every document is written in your everyday words. And even workflows and customs fields reflects how you describe your work, how you reflect your team talks about their work. So this setup dramatically lowers the technical barrier and empowers people just like me with a background in language rather than engineering to contribute meaningfully. And that's why, as a company providing Redmine as a cloud service, we believe it is very, very important. It is essential to pay close attention to the language used in the interface. Because, well, Redmine is not a no-code tool, many of its users rely heavily on the UI, not on the underlying code. Well, they don't look at the database. They, of course, don't customize the Ruby files. But instead, they read the buttons, the fields, labels, the tooltips. And that's how they interact with the system. So if the word used in Redmine is vague, hard to understand, it directly impacts the usability of the system, especially for non-engineers. And improving the language, the natural language in the UI isn't just a matter of polishing the text. It's about making the system more accessible, more intuitive, and more human. And in a sense, better language design brings us closer to no code. It helps bridge the gap between people who speak code and people who don't speak code, just like me. That's why we see the UI language as part of our mission, because thoughtful wording will empower more people to use Redmine effectively, regardless of their technical background. And my background is in natural language, and many of you, I guess, in this classroom work with programming language. And I hope these talks actually help bridge that gap between the people who write codes and who don't write codes. And I've been actually critical for the translations, well, the English one, the Chinese one. and I'm really sorry for who wrote it. I didn't mean. I I have to speak it again. This is not just incorrect. They're good. They work, of course. But just like the code you talk like, well, it works, but maybe you can do it better. It's just like something just like that. So I believe these changes in the language, in the wording matter, because they can make a product more welcoming, more accessible, and more human. So if you unsure how to contribute to an open source, well, if you are not an engineer, if you don't write code, please remember this. You still have something really valuable to offer. And thank you so much for listening. Oh, okay. It's just a good time. And I've told you I speak Chinese, Japanese, and a little bit English. So both Chinese and Japanese questions are welcomed. Do you have any question about the talk today? So Redmine has 150 languages can be used. It's very, very, it's nice. Yeah.
Not really a Redmine specific question. So you majored in language sciences, right? So what are your thoughts on like we think differently in different languages, right? So I'm from India. We have like 23 official languages and like 22. He's also from India. So we basically kind of know four languages. Like most of like normal Indians at least know four languages. So like there is like difference in the way that we think in each languages. So like is there anything like explaining this in the language sciences?
Well,
Not specific to the phonetics, like how we think, how we process things, it's different in different languages, right? Is it explained in the language sciences?
yeah, of course. That is a really good question. I didn't expect that. Is well, it's a good question, but really, really hard to explain. Of course, with different languages, I mean, well, since, for example, I'm just talking this topic in English. I mean, I could only speak some normal English, and all you guys could understand what I'm talking about. But since, as you told, in India, there's so many four languages. Two. Oh my.
Yeah, like most of us know like 3 or 4 languages.
Yes, yeah. And it is really hard to explain. But in language science, we of course we have this kind of field to research how the different languages just, the barrier between languages. And as you can tell, in Chinese, I'm a Chinese, but what I spoke is actually different from the Taiwanese. Of course, we have most kind of parts like similar, but with the detail, they actually vary greatly. So of course, we have this kind of field to do some research to explain why the differences just came out and how do each other understood what they're talking about. And if I'm sorry, I just graduated about 8 years ago, so I cannot just explain it so in a detail. But I guess this part, the cognitive science that will explain how our brain just worked, how our brain works, how do we understand each other's languages, even we are not in the same culture, even we live in different areas, but we still could understand each other. Is that is that okay? The answer. I'm so sorry. Hi.
Okay, first of all, I really love your talk because I majored in English language and literature
Mm-hmm.
in college,
Oh.
and I studied philosophy. I dropped out of that because of some financial stuff. Then I learned programming. Now I'm a software engineer for like 3 years, but I never studied computer. Um, but yeah, like so similar to his question is like I think it's all about how you so once you have that idea of like how it
Mhm.
works, the whole semantics and the language rules, so
Mm-hmm.
you get like a understanding of how it works. And yeah, and like coming from one field to another, it's like I so I yeah I studied English. I didn't go to college properly, like never did. It's a different story, but I can speak like a few languages. I speak Japanese. I speak a few languages, like 6, 7 languages. I can write code in like 6, 7 languages. But I can so these days, like even though I'm an engineer, I can also do all the stuff like the language
Yeah.
stuff, documentation or anything, fixing all this complicated stuff. So it's like so it's always nice to see someone else coming from
Oh.
as a different field and like doing the similar things as me. So it's like very interesting. But yeah,
Oh,
thank
thank
you for the
you.
talk.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi.
Do you often use LLM for your work? Do you often use like ChatGPT or any LLM?
Yeah.
I mean, my question is, I mean,
Mhm.
you have the background of linguistic science, I mean, language science, and do you have any advice or some hints to use LLM well from
Mhm.
your perspective? Because I mean, now it is to use LLM well, the
Mhm.
language is really it really matter, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So do you have something to share?
Well, I would like to say that, oh, I don't know whether it is advice or not, but I was really good at writing when I was a child. Oh, this well, it's a little bit weird to say it by myself, but I think it matters. That means if a person who can speak really clearly to explain what he want to say, though I just use the word intent. That means if you could explain what would you want to talk clearly, so when you talk just not to human being, but when you talk to a computer, it works the same way. So read more books, polish your grammar or something like it is really important. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes. Exactly. Thank you. Yep.
You might have mentioned it in the beginning. In that case, I apologize. But how did you go from a field like language sciences to open source software? Were you like approached by Redmine, or was it something? Was it a project you were interested in, and then you asked them? How did that work?
Well, actually, okay. I just found a job in a IT company. Very simple, very simple. I just found a job in a IT company. But before I entered the company, I don't know what they're doing. You know, my boss is sitting over there, and I cannot I cannot say something weird.
Maybe I can ask your boss.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the translation. That's really helpful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And in my company is actually offered a service closer. Sorry. Yeah. So, is that an answer? Is that okay? Sorry. Okay. Well, we have a booth for Redmine users. So if you have any further, yeah. Okay, okay. If you have any further questions, welcome to our booth. Yeah, I'm always there. Thank you. Oh, it's time. Okay. Thank you so much.